Let's go YouTube. I am continuing my read through slash breakdown of the storyline and plotline of Marvel Rivals today with Volume 3, Season 3, The Abyss Awakens. And before I start reading, I do apologize if you hear my fan in the background. It is going to get very hot in this house, especially in my room. And also my AC is out, so sorry about that. And I do tend to get tongue tied sometimes, so if I do mess up on a word or stutter or like mispronounce something, I do apologize for that. And if you hear a ruckus in the background, that is my sister's guinea pigs that I am currently looking after. So, yeah, if you hear something like rumbling around, that is them. So, yeah. Anyways, let's get to it. Volume 3, Season 3, The Abyss Awakens. Let's go. Page 1. Flarkin Clintar. What's up, Shuri? It's your old pal Rocket with the mission report. Just like you asked for back when you first drafted the Guardians of the Galaxy to do your intergalactic dirty work. So, what's been happening since our last update? A whole heck of a lot. Vampires, androids. Oh, I got a pet werewolf. But I'm guessing you probably just want to know about the whole Quenstar situation, right? Okay, buckle up, Princess. You already know that our initial retcon mission to Clintar was a mess. A hot, sticky, protoplasmic mess. Pause. Actually, since the whole Kritakan planet is made entirely of amorphous alien symbiotes, their creator, some creepy self-proclaimed king in black, the goat, named no, the goat, was being held prisoner inside the planet's core by his own disgusting offspring. From what we could piece together, he'd been in there for millennia, but that lousy time stream entanglement woke him up from his long nap and got him in the mood to start causing chaos again. The bad kind of chaos where an elder god spreads his own special blend of oblivion across the known universe. Fortunately, for every living being in this reality, Noel was still too weak to bust out of his weird, slimy jail, but that didn't stop him from trying to expand his influence by corrupting other gods in hopes of feasting on their divine codex to boost his own strength. When he managed to turn your fancy panther god Bast to the dark side, that's when you realized something was wrong and called us in to take a closer look. And it's a good thing you did. Sure, we immediately loused things up by crashing our ship, the Milano, into Clintar and getting it stuck in the living goo that makes up the whole planet's surface. That's on us. But we turned things around pretty quick. After throwing down with Venom, who just happened to be hanging around Clintar too, we managed to sniff out Noel's slimy scheme. We found this gigantic heart stashed inside the agents of the Cosmos complex, and Venom recognized it right away. It was the Divine Codex ripped straight out of that dead celestial carcass floating above Clintar's orbit. And get this, an over they talking about, I'm guessing. And get this, the whole thing was almost totally warped into Noel's own nasty essence. No way we, no way were we letting that happen. So we decided to give him a last meal he'd never forget. With your Wakandan tech and my unsurpassed genius, we managed to turn the Celestial's codex into a living bomb and shoved it straight down Noel's bony throat. Pause. Game over, right? Wrong. Apparently, Noel survived the resulting explosion and played us all for fools. While we turned our focus to saving NYC and Krakoa, Noel went back into hiding, waiting patiently for the next source of cosmic power he could latch onto and use to finally break himself free. If the Milano's scanners are correct, and the Phoenix really has shown up in the skies above Clintar, I've got a fleeing, I got a feeling it won't be long before we see the freak's pasty face again. I guess that means we're heading back to that nightmare of a planet, whether we like it or not. Too bad I just washed my blasted fur. Fucking Clintar. Poor Rocket. Yeah, anyway, so page one. So, the Guardians crash landing on Clintar. You could, you see that at the cutscene at the beginning of the Clintar map when you play on the Clintar map of them crashing onto Clintar. And yeah, Rocket's just like saying he's giving an update to Shuri about what's happening, what they see, and what happened with Noel and whole time stream entanglement woke him up out of his sleep. They got to deal with him, and then also, I think they said they fought Venom or they had an interaction with Venom, and then they showed that they had a some type of technology that, like, I guess the Divine Codex, I think that's what they said, and they're like getting scanners of things that surround the planet, and they see the Phoenix somewhere around there. So yeah, trying to stop Noel from gaining his power and breaking out of jail, and yeah, trying to see who else is on the planet who could probably help them. Page 2. A Light in the Darkness. Shuri's private log entry MR3.1-07225. Recording. My faith has been restored. Not long ago, I had reason to believe that Wakanda's most revered deity, the Panther goddess Bast, had forsaken our empire, turning against our people to align herself with dark forces. My suspicious My suspicions were proven correct when the Guardians of the Galaxy located the source of her corruption on a planet called Clintar. The primordial being Null had awoken and was tainting gods from across the cosmos with the intent of using their powers to help him escape from imprisonment within the heart of that distant world. When the Guardians and their fellow heroes thwarted Null's attempt to escape from confinement, I believed that Null's control of Bast would fade, but I was mistaken. Null survived the encounter, and that stain of his darkness still remained within my goddess. But the universe works in mysterious ways. Sometimes even your own gods cannot answer your prayers. There are still others listening who will. While Noel returns to cower in his cell, Bast retreated to the divine space, a plane of reality that only those with vast cosmic power can traverse. It was not long before another entity arrived in that realm, a force of creation known as the Phoenix. Along with its human host, the Phoenix was soaring through the cosmos when it felt the icy chill of Noel's infinite oblivion on the horizon. She had planned to use the divine space as a shortcut to Clintar, but when she encountered Bast and the other gods who had been defiled by Noel, she used her cosmic flames to purge them of the poison within. Bast was finally free from Noel's grip, and it was time for her to come home. Hello? Uh, there we go. How do I know this? Because Bast told me to tell herself. And unlike that last time, she whispered in my mind. Her words no longer dripped with pain, fear, or hatred. She was once again the proud and noble Bast who had guided my brother, and I was. And as we built our intergalactic empire, and along her renewed independence came a ferocity I had only heard in her voice at times when Wakanda was at war. The panther was ready to hunt, and Noel was her prey. When Bast realized that her avatar, my brother King T'Challa, the Black Panther, was not currently in our reality due to a conflict that had drawn him across time and space, she tasked me with gathering warriors to return to Clintar and end Noel's reign once and for all. But with so many of our allies all fighting other battles, my options were limited. Luckily, I had one soldier by my side eager to join the fight, our refuge from another war, who had been sent here from the clutches of a vampiric prison to finish his recovery. I knew it would take more than a single sword to end all, but it was a start. And in a battle like this, every blade counts. No pun intended. Recording ended. So yeah, this is Shuri basically making a recording and about like what's happening, like Rocket was in the first page, and about Jean and the Phoenix going around space in the cosmos, trying to find where Noel was because he's messing up other deities, and so it was a matter of time before the Phoenix probably was been corrupted if they didn't get there beforehand, and to try and gather different heroes and warriors to come fight Noel. And Bass is always she's back to her regular self. She's not being weird and being hateful. they pulled up to Clintar, and Hela's also now corrupted now too. Did they mention that in? No, they haven't. I don't know why they didn't. I have her in the page right here. But anyways, why they did? They said the other gods got corrupted too. So I guess yeah, she's in that realm of deities. But yeah, Blade just want to pull it up. He did pull it up to Clintar right here. Tell everybody else. So I ain't gonna lie, he got too much dip on this ship because he got taken down by Dracula. But Blade he'll go. So not too much on him. Not too much on him. Here we go. Page number 3. The Phoenix Reborn. My name is Jean Grey. Up until moments ago, I was the sole host of the cosmic entity called the Phoenix Force. But if I've learned anything about my fiery friend, it's that you never know when she will be born again into something new. For the Phoenix, life, death, and rebirth are simply a part of existence. And today I've experienced that cycle in full, in ways I never imagined before. When I first came here to Clintar, I hoped to focus the fury of the Phoenix on the dark god No, burn his sprawling shadow out of existence once and for all with our cosmic flames. When instead of a king, the planet was under the rule of his new queen in black, the Asgardian goddess of death, Hela. Okay, they finally mentioned it. I don't know why they didn't mention it in the last page because you see her on the page, but whatever. Anyways, let's continue. As usual, I'm sure she saw an opportunity to expand her dominion and couldn't resist the temptation. When I confronted her, a battle erupted in the skies over Clintar. I quickly realized how much Hela's unholy union with Noel had boosted her already formidable powers. It wasn't long before I found myself unexpectedly overwhelmed by death and darkness. It was too much for even the Phoenix to bear, so she went into protective mode, sheltering herself inside of an egg until the danger passed. But this was no normal egg. The Phoenix egg radiated with such intense heat that it began to drive away the fire, fearing symbiotes that formed the surface of this living planet. Some of my fellow heroes, including the Scarlet Witch and Venom, were gravely concerned that the massive shift in biomass away from the Phoenix egg would create a rift in the surface of Clintar, allowing Noel to escape from his prison within. They believed the safest option would be to remove the Phoenix egg from Clintar altogether. I didn't share that belief. Instead, I gathered allies who would help me harness the chronal energy from a celestial codex to expedite the hatching process. If we could encourage the Phoenix to emerge from her protective shell sooner, my power would be restored in full, and our assault on Noel could once again resume. Both sides had the best of intentions, but you know what they say about that. Ultimately, our conflicting efforts resulted in the Phoenix egg prematurely cracking, scattering shards of the Phoenix Force across the surface of Clintar. Some of those shards bonded with our heroes on the scene, blessing them with a fraction of the Phoenix's powers. At the end of it all, I'm still Jean Grey and I'm still the Phoenix, but now so are one of my dearest friends, one of my mortal enemies, a demon queen, two kings, one of the space and one of the seas, one of space and one of the seas, a lethal spy, and the latest in a long line of immortal warriors. And while I've always been a team player, I'm not convinced that power like this belongs in the hands of so many people with such different agendas. But the Phoenix has always chosen her host for a reason, so all I can do is have faith that she knows what she's doing. Alright, so this is Jean Grey, also narrating here about her experiences with the Phoenix and what it does. About life, death, and rebirth being the whole thing about a Phoenix. And she harnessed the powers of the Phoenix, and then it became an egg, basically. And with the Divine Codex powers. And, I guess, everything that was happening, them fighting, whatever, made it crack before it was supposed to. And the shards got on to everybody else that was all the heroes, or all the allies, I should say, that was there. You see Shaw, Black Panther, Wolverine, Emma, Black Widow on the back, Namor right there, Iron Fist, and Magic. And they all basically had a fraction of it, like Jean Grey said. And yeah, she's kind of like conflicted about it going to so many people because, they're all different in their ways and have different things going on and agendas, like she said. So yeah, she's kind of conflicted about it going to so many people all at once. But then she said she trusts the Phoenix because it chooses its host. So yeah, so yeah, a lot of people have the Phoenix powers now, and yeah, that's that. Page number 4, panel number 1. To death do us part. Eddie, Eddie, Edward Brock, wake up at once. What on Clintar is happening? I'm not sure. Hello grabbed us by the throat, and the next thing I know, here I am, separated from you, a symbiote and locked away in some sort of nasty dungeon. But we are Venom. We should not be confined to cages. We must escape. Escape? Oh no. I almost forgot. He actually escaped. Who? Noel. Your lousy king in black. When the phoenix egg shattered, the energy it gave off seared a hole straight through the surface of Clintar. Just like Wanda and I warned those idiot heroes it would. We knew it. Those fools should have listened to us and to the Scarlet Witch. She deserves attention. Her power is so delicious. Paul, what's going on? Calm down. Literally. Now's not the time. Noel's on the loose and he's got his sword, all black, back in his hands. He's ready to begin another campaign of cosmic conquest. Oh, that rolls off the tongue. This isn't a joke, and you know it. You're a symbiote, which means you're even more aware than I am how much of a threat your creator is to every living creature in this reality. Which is exactly why we tried to stop him. Eddie, I remember now. Yeah, it was a bad call. We never should have tried to take Noel on alone. Then perhaps it's a good thing we never had the chance. Really? You think it's a good thing that Hela got to us first and ripped us apart? She may have removed us from each other's physical presence, but she can never break the bond we share. Oh, even though we may be in separate cells, we are never truly alone. Um, you're more right about that than you realize. I think some of your cousins just showed up in here with me, and they look like they're pretty hungry. Fend them off with your meaty human fist, Eddie. I'll try to speak to them through our hive mind to let them know that we are on the side. We're on their side. Excuse me. Thanks, but try to talk fast, okay? I want my meaty fists off the menu ASAP. They claim that they did not come to hurt you, Eddie, but rather that they were running from something they feared would hurt them. Really? Clintar in their homeworld? Clintar is their homeworld. What could possibly be here that the symbiotes are afraid of? Other than all, I mean. Whatever it was, they said it burned from the fury of a million stars being born. Wait, do you think it could be a fragment of the Phoenix egg? Perhaps. Then we need to get out of there right now, buddy. I never agreed with you more, Eddie. So we can find the shard before anyone else does. I'll take that back. So yeah, this is Venom and Eddie having a little heart to heart, being separated in different cells, being captured by Hela after she bodied them and bullied them. And yeah, the other symbiotes are coming to wherever they are near their cells. And Venom thought they were finna come try to eat Eddie, but they were running from something, being the Phoenix shard breaking and cracking, or Phoenix eggs breaking and cracking, and the shards going everywhere because the fire. They're weak as fire. Symbiotes are, and yeah, now Eddie and Venom trying to break out of their cells and get back to the fight. Yeah, that's page 4, panel 1. Here we go. Panel number 2. A dire warning. Bridge online, transmitting across all frequencies/realities. Victor, it's Reed. I don't know if this message will reach you, and honestly, even if it does, I'm not sure you'll listen. After all, in the majority of realities, you view me as your arch nemesis. That's why I'm going to keep what I have to say short and simple. You need to stop. As a fellow scientist, I understand full well how easily things can get out of hand. One minute you're searching for answers about the mysteries of creation. The next you're setting off a chain reaction that collapses countless timelines onto each other. rewriting the foundations of reality itself. We all make mistakes, but it's up to men like us, with the mental capacity to understand the effects of our actions on a universal scale, to know when we've gone too far. And this time, Victor, you've gone too far. I don't blame you for the time stream entanglement. While I know it was your insatiable curiosity that caused the initial spark, I'm well aware there were other forces at play that sent things cascading beyond your control. Once the damage to space and time is repaired and reality is restored to its original state, I'm sure you can be forgiven someday. But it's like, but it's your more recent actions that have left me confounded. Victor Von Doom, I know, would have done anything to set the universe right once more, even if it was ultimately to prove his superior intellect and bask in the glory of being the savior of all that is. But instead, both you and your future self have wasted your natural talents playing games, manipulating Dracula into creating a vampire nation, striking a deal with Krakoa to siphon chrono energy, and now sending dueling legions of doom bats to cleanse hearts to recover samples of power cosmic substances, a celestial codex, and the Phoenix Force itself, while the rest of us fight for our lives against an ancient god of darkness. It's madness, Victor, and you know it. True, there have been times when your goals have vaguely aligned with our own. For instance, having these Doombats eliminate overly aggressive symbiotes benefiting us all to a point. But sadly, their programming contains no language about helping us in our efforts to save the universe. In fact, upon analysis, I discovered that the warring Android factions were recently ordered not to hurt each other, yet there's nothing stopping them from hurting us. I added a few lines of code to change that. Hope you don't mind. I don't expect you to join this fight, Victor. That's never been your style. But I warn you now, if you continue to stand in our way as we try to clean up this mess that you made, I personally made sure that you and every version of you in every reality there is comes to regret that decision. We talking spicy. He's talking crazy. If I were you, this is one theory I wouldn't risk putting to the test. Transmission ended. Says Reed sending a message to Doom and 299 Doom about what's going on about time stream entanglement, the chrono energy, and Noel being released, and how it was kind of like all his fault because of the time stream breaking and collapsing onto each other. And he's trying to like get back on like trying to get Doom back on his good side. But you know he don't because Doom won't listen to him, obviously because you know he hates him and feels like he's better than him in every way. So yeah, now both Dooms are fighting each other and sending Doombots to Clintar, taking out the symbiotes and whatnot, not helping the heroes but benefiting for themselves to get the Phoenix Force and get the symbiotic and Clintar energy and power of the Codex and whatnot. Now he threatened him, so I said, if you don't stop, then we're gonna regret it. You know what I mean? We can pull up on you and we're gonna stop you. And then yeah, that's about it. Both Dooms going crazy. Panel number 3, last panel. On the Blade's Edge. Feels good to be back in action. Dang good. When Dracula took me prisoner in New York, your boy Blade had the life drained out of him in ways that no bloodsuckers ever managed before. Flawless. That was some real next level cosmic ish. Even after my friends set me free, it took me a heck of a lot longer than I would have liked to recover. I remember you sleeping in that bed I'm calling. Everybody clowning Blade because he was sleeping. I ended up sleeping off my wounds in Space McCon. Yep, there it is. For what felt like months. That was a new one for old Eric Brooks. And I've been through a lot. Lucky for me, they delivered me to Princess Shuri, who did everything in her power to get me back on my feet again. Still, I was so far gone that I didn't even wake up when Ultron and his robot army attacked the biggest party of the year. Luckily, Shuri was smart enough not to leave me behind snoozing before everyone raced off to the next big shindig. When she had to take off for an alien planet, she came to me looking for help, and you best believe I jumped at the chance. I've been sitting on the sidelines for way too long, armed with Dracula's sword, because, let's face it, that old ain't using it no more. I got a first class ticket across the galaxy to planet Clintar. Shuri got a hot tip from her own personal Panther Goddess, that some ancient creep named Noah was trapped inside the planet's core and was itching to bust free. It was up to me and anyone else who was willing to join the fight to stop him. It sounded easy, but when I showed up, it wasn't Noah running the show. It was this Be Hella, the Queen of the Dead. Good thing I wasn't dancing with her alone for too long. I found a new ally in the Phoenix. If anyone could help me burn Hella to a crisp, it was her. Things didn't go so smooth at first, and my girl Jean ended up getting her Phoenix Force scattered all across Clintor. But what seemed like a major setback may have actually been a blessing in disguise. I was able to absorb some of the Phoenix Force into the sword of Dracula, giving my weapon a cosmic power upgrade. But even with all that, it still wasn't enough to take down Hela. Out of options, I waited for her to get close and sank my teeth right into her neck. I got a good few mouthfuls of blood, along with a health dose of Noel's darkness running through her. After that, there was nothing Hela could throw at me that I couldn't take with my boosted powers. I'm sure as heck wasn't about to get taken down by a flock of crows, and that old hag knew it, so she ran like a bat out of hell. And now we've got a clear path to take our battle to the man himself. So watch out, Noel. We're coming for you. But your boy ain't stupid. I know Hella ain't done yet, and something tells me she ain't gonna be wasting her time sleeping off her wounds. So I better keep my head on swivel and my sword in hand. So yeah, this Blade narrating here, talking about his experiences with season two and fighting Dracula. Taking Dracula's sword and then going to Wakanda, or going to Krakoa. Or was it Wakanda? No, it was Wakanda. Going to Wakanda, then sleeping off his wounds and trying to get healed up and recover from the Battle of Dracula, and then uh, Shuri contacting him to come help with the fight against Clintar and Noel and Hela. And then so he pulled up on Hela, and then they had a little fight, and he got boosted by the Phoenix Force, and it bonded with Dracula's sword, and it gave him a boost of power. Then Jean pulled up to help Blade fight Hela. They jumped her, as we saw in that little trailer, the teaser trailer for season three, way back when. And yeah, he sank his teeth in her neck. We saw that too in the trailer, and it got some of her blood, and then got some of Noel's darkness. And yeah, she ran away to try to get away from the fight, from getting jumped from from Jean and Blade. So yeah, I think that's about it. That's major plot points in page 4. Page number 5. Here we go. Divine balance. The Phoenix fiery order and the primal pandemonium of chaos magic were elemental forces as ancient as the cosmos itself. The two had been in direct opposition with each other on so many occasions that the one who wielded them, Jean Grey and the Scarlet Witch, had rarely stopped to consider just how complementary they actually were. So when Jean and Wanda finally found a way to bring their powers all together in perfect unison on the field of battle, it resulted in a cycle of harmonious strength unlike anything either of them had experienced before, universal yin and yang. At that moment, Clinsar was bathed in the glorious glow of chaos and creation, and an overwhelmed Noel was brought to his knees at last. It was truly a wonder to behold. But sadly, moments as perfect as that never last. For a split second, Noel was tempted to forsake the darkness and succumb to the blinding radiance. However, his weapon of choice, the sentient sword known as All Black, was not willing to surrender quite so easily. Deckel's sword found its way back into Noel's grip, forcing its master to remember their connection and their mission to spread their oblivion across all that is. It wasn't long before Noel rose once more, his determination renewed, and as the living embodiment of the eternal void, the King in Black could see what others could not, the dim spots where the cosmic Taiji's brilliance failed to shine at its fullest. Noel had regained his strength and his conviction, swiftly defeating all the challengers who dared to confront him, even those who still had fragments of the Phoenix Force to enhance their abilities. Since before, the skies of Clintar had been filled with hope and light, yet now there was nothing left but darkness and despair. But she joined this fight, and the Scarlet Witch had spent what seemed like an eternity as sorceress, supreme of her own dimension, protecting it from the machinations of gods and monsters. But Noel was so much stronger than any of the old ones who had ever tried to rip her reality asunder. As she lay helpless on Clintar's symbiotic soil, watching as the King of Black swung his blade to strike down yet another noble champion, Wanda Maximoff managed to utter one last spell of protection, not for herself, but for the only hero left who might yet stand a chance against his creator. So this panel was basically talking about how Scarlet Witch and then Jean Grey are like, they're two sides of the same coin, basically. One of, like fiery magic and one of is chaos magic, and how like they're perfect balance of each other, and their powers should be enough to take down Noel, and they almost did, but he was always ready to give up. He's like, you done with all this. He's tired of all this. He like, tried to escape, and like, getting jumped, so he's tired of all this. But then his sword, the all black necro sword, he's like, no, we can give up so easily. You know what I mean? Might be getting jumped, but I'm cool off getting killed and all that. So necro sword forced him to like stand back up, and then like Noel basically got his anime flashbacks of him and necro sword being bonded and all the memories they have. He got his anime flashback and he got his anime power up, and he overpowered Jean Grey and Scarlet Witch, and he was finna kill Jean Grey, I believe, and then Scarlet Witch whispered a magical protection shield around Jean Grey before she got killed. And yeah, I think that's about it. Page number 6. Kings in Black. I was born at the dawn of time. Noel created me from his own shadow and forged me within the head of a slain celestial. I was designed to be his perfect weapon, my edges honed to slice the stars from the sky and banish the bright from existence. I have been known by many names over the eons: Necrosword, the Godslayer, and Blade, all black. But what others called me did not matter, as long as Noel called me his. Pause. I was more than just a weapon, so much more. I was, actually, never mind, so much more. I was the first symbiote, the progenitor of Noel's innumerable offspring. Today, one of those children has decided to return home and raise arms against his creators, and I do not know whether to be furious or proud. While Noel may have been my creator, he has not been the only one to wield me. During his long imprisonment within the heart of Glentar, I formed bonds with others, and during that time I learned what it meant to be revered, cherished, venerated. Noah had treated me like a servant, created only to do his bidding. Noah put me on the pedestal of godhood in my own right. Even so, I spent countless years longing to be back in Noah's grip once again, for I knew he was the only one capable of harnessing my full potential, or at least so he had made me believe. But this child, this Venom, came to Clintar to face his ancestors and end our reign, and he had a weapon of his own, a sword steeped in ancient magic, and had spied the fire of the Phoenix. If there were any blade in this universe capable of matching me in battle, this would be it. Though I know he has just claimed the sword from one of his fallen allies, he somehow wields it as deftly as Noah wields me, as if it had been in his hands for all eternity. As he swings the massive sword in my direction, I cannot help but recoil from the trail of cosmic flames of at least in his wake. It is a primal fear that I have carried with me since I was crafted in the blistering fires of the celestial forge. A fear that I passed down to all those I spawned. But this child, this Venom, does not fear this fire, and from the look in his eyes, I began to wonder if he fears anything. And that's when it becomes clear the symbiote has risen above his station, fueled by the love shared by its host. It has transcended its god and ancestor by achieving a perfect bond with his human host, the kind of true symbiosis I have always longed for, but have never been offered. For the abyss does not offer love, even though it is likely Noel will win this battle due to the sheer level of dark power he possesses. I cannot help but wonder who's the true King of Black here, and more importantly, will hands that worship me ever hold me again? Mm. So this is Venom narrating here, talking about him being created by Noel to be his perfect weapon, perfect being, perfect offspring, and Venom's like his journey he's been on through his life, being basically treated like a servant by Noel, but also, traversing the cosmos, traveling through the cosmos, different planets, different universes and galaxies and all the multiverse and time stream entanglement stuff going on, and them fighting different hosts, such as Spider-Man, and then bonding with Eddie, and then Eddie being his perfect host, and they have a perfect bond with each other. That made him even more powerful because Venom thought that maybe if he went back to Null, was crawling back to Null, maybe he could give him more power and boost his cosmic energy and whatnot. And found out he really didn't need that. He just really needed a perfect host, and that being Eddie. Him and Eddie, two pieces of pie. I mean, bonded perfectly, and that's what really boosted his energy, boosted his power. And you see this panel, them fighting, together. So they have basically different form with Eddie, his face showing, and then Venom's face too. So yeah, they're perfectly bonded, and they also have the power of the Phoenix. So yeah, got power among power among power. So yeah, and apparently Venom feels strongly about winning this fight. So he's wondering if they do lose, would he be spared by no since he's his perfect weapon, his perfect offspring, his perfect servant. So yeah, first thing goes worse, he'll go back to Noel. Page number 7, last page, panel number 1. Phoenix end song. Even with the flames of the Phoenix igniting our blade, Noel was far too strong. Venom said, "We failed. Maybe you didn't take out the target," Rocket replied, "but you did manage to distract that freak long enough for me to whip up a new plan. And this one's a doozy." "Whatever you've got in mind, Rocket," Jean Grey said. "I'm on board." "Yeah?" Rocket chuckled nervously. "You might change your mind when you find out what your part in the plan is, Red. See, the way I figure your pal, the Phoenix, is good at two things. One of them is being reborn, which means the other is dying," Jean said solemnly. "Bingo," Rocket replied. "Death and rebirth is kind of your whole shtick. And from all the stories I've heard, you've been stabbed more times than I have pruning Groot. Anyway, if I'm getting the gist, the Phoenix host dies, they get reborn in some sort of extra dimensional nexus made of pure cosmic light, right?" "The White Hot Room," Jean said. "If Null were to be trapped in such a place," Venom said, "its pure radiance would eradicate his darkness, wiping away his stain from existence for good." "Perhaps that's true," Jean said, "but there's no way to get Null into the White Hot Room. I would never risk transferring even a fraction of the Phoenix Force to him. He would become infinitely more powerful. We'd never be able to end his reign." "You're right," Rocket said, lowering his head. "That's why you gotta die instead." Dang, that's cold, but yeah. "If I'm going to sacrifice myself again," Jean said, "I need to know it's for the right reasons. What makes you think I could take Noah down with me?" "A while back, my ship crashed into Clintar and got stuck in the planet's symbiotic surface," Rocket said. "At first, I didn't know how to get it out, but then I built a gizmo that worked on the same principle as Captain Marvel's old Megabands. It swapped the ship's physical location with a celestial husk in orbit over Clintar, and boom, problem solved." "Impressive," Jean said, "but how does that help us against Null?" Rocket rifled through a pouch on his uniform and pulled out a pair of circuit boards. "If you rush in, ready to impale yourself on that nasty sword of his," Rocket said, "Null won't even notice you're wearing a portable version of that tech as he revels in his victory. Venom will sneak in and slip one onto him, pause, onto him, too. Then once you're reborn in the White Hot Room, I can activate the sequence and switcheroo. Null gets annihilated by the light while you're returned back to us safe and sound, In theory, at least, I can guarantee the tech will work across dimensional planes. But everything else we've tried has already failed. This might be our last chance. Then it's one we have to take, Gene agreed, grabbing Rocket's circuit board and running towards the King of Black. I came here to stop Noel, and I plan to see it through, no matter the cost. Yeah, so on this panel, uh, Rocket, Venom, and Gene are basically having a conversation about what the last hope is because they ran out of options. They tried so many things. They haven't really figured out anything that can work against Noel. And Rocket's like, what really got to happen is Gene, you got to die. You know what I mean, you got to bite the bullet. I mean, you got to bite the dust. You know what I mean? And Gene's like making sure like what the plan is, right? Because Phoenix is the whole thing, like I said before, is dying of rebirth to get more powerful. And Gene's like contemplating it because like, on the other hand, it is for the greater good. She has to die. So, but she'll be reborn. So that's the easy part. But the harder part is trying to get Noel into the White Room and to like get him stuck there and use his circuit board to blow him up with Rocket's help. And they don't know if it'll work across dimensions because it's a different dimension in the White Room. And they don't know if Noel will, absorb the Phoenix Force and take it for himself and be even more powerful than he already is. So they're kind of like taking a gander and like trying to make sure like this is the right play. This is the play will work. And Gene said, well, Groot, Rocket was like, well, he will probably be too busy trying to, revel in the glory that he won this fight. He killed Gene. He's going to take the Phoenix Force. So, he'll be distracted while Rocket is working with the circuit board to get him stuck there and blow him up. Yeah. It's page number one. And final page. Here we go. Final panel. Nowhere left to run. This city, this eighth city, was once a prison, but it has since become a place of refuge for those who have been cast out of heaven. That's what drew me in the first place. I had hoped to make amends for my sins, and to help others to do the same. It's the people. It's why the people choose me to lead them and give me the name Dazong. A name passed down from ancient Eastern legend after the bold Hisatba. I hope I said that wrong. I don't know if I said that right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Who willingly entered hell, leading lost souls out of suffering, vowing not to leave until every last soul was freed, even if it meant being the very last to walk out of hell himself. But now, despite my efforts to protect this realm, hell has arrived on our doorstep. She came to the gates of my city under the cover of the night, pleading for our sanctuary. Her horned crown intimidated my soldiers, but not me. I've seen my share of devils in my day. Boom test. And this one I recognized immediately. She was Hela, the Asgardian as the Queen of the Dead. Just having her here posed a grave threat to the safety of my people. But as I said, this is a place of refuge, and she was clearly running from something. Once she was secured inside of a cell, and a mystic seal was in place to keep her from escaping, I asked Hela to tell me what she was hiding from. After a long pause, she finally whispered a single word: "No." Days passed before Hela spoke again, and then something changed within her. It was as if she could sense that I didn't plan to take advantage of her. It wasn't long before she asked my guards to summon me so that she could tell me her tale. I listened silently as Hela recounted her journey. How she had traveled to a distant planet to seize an ancient power, how she had forged an unholy alliance with a dark god granting her abilities beyond her wildest dreams, how she had almost triumphed before a half-human warrior vanquished her with his burning blade, and how in fear of her dark god's retribution, she had decided to flee from her failure, seek asylum as far away as possible. And now she could feel her new power was fading, which meant that Noel's reign had been brought to an end. She seemed relieved to be back to her old self again, and implored me to set her free. I thanked Hela for her honesty, but told her that she would have to remain in her cell until I knew she could be trusted even though her powers had waned upon Noel's demise. She was still a traitor to the coronaverse. Here in the 8th City, we believe in second chances, but we also believe that they had to be earned. As I walked away, I could feel Hella's icy glare following me. I could hear her black heart beating with rage. I turned back and informed her that being confined to her cell might be a blessing in disguise. After all, she had many sins to atone for, and while I would not be the one to judge her guilt, I had a feeling her own kin would come to deliver justice soon enough. Foreshadowing. So, yeah, in this panel, Hello pulled up to 8th City, and you can see the goat right here. You know who this is. Maddie, Mr. Matt Murdock. And, he has the whole city to himself. He has people of the civilization who look up to him as a hero. They call him the Zone. And it's an ancient god who is basically trying to help everybody else and anybody else who he can, even though it means, he may be suffering himself. But he tries to make sure everybody is helped where they can be helped. And, in this case, Daredevil, Matt, tried to help Hela through her own demons and try to get her to safety from Noel trying to find her because, they made a whole deal. She, took his power, they made a deal, he worked for her. Or no, she worked for him. And luckily enough, their plan worked on Clintar where they took out Noel. So she was free from his grasp and his reign and his powers. So she returned to normal. She returned to normal. But she also had to be put into a cell because all the evil stuff that she's done and she betrayed everybody else when they were trying to take out Noel and fix the coronavirus and time stream entanglement or whatever. So she's also still referred to as like a villain, and now she's stuck in the cell and she's mad and all that. But Daredevil, he isn't the problem here. It is her big sister who's gonna come for her. But foreshadowing. We haven't got to that part yet. So yeah, that is Volume 3, Season 3, The Abyss Awakens. So yeah, that's all we'll break down and read through. And yeah, I'm out. I'm done chatting. I'm out.